Welcome to today's Culture Builders. Today's Culture Builders is actually an article that you can get also on our website at tocculture.com. It's shared in our weekly newsletter every Thursday. And in that newsletter, we've got our articles, we got links to other Culture Builders, and the notes to every episode of the Coaching Culture podcast. So be sure to check that out and subscribe to the weekly newsletter there. So today's article is titled, You Can't Change What You Don't Notice. So I love the story of Phil Jackson, one he shares in the book Sacred Hoops. Phil Jackson is one of the most successful coaches in NBA history. The funny thing is he wasn't always the Zen-like leader that we know him to be. Early in his career at the Chicago Bulls, Jackson believed that the triangle offense system was the ultimate key to success. And he was so convinced of its value that he insisted all his players, including Michael Jordan, fully buy into it. But Michael Jordan, he resisted. He believed at the time his scoring ability was what won them games and feared it would be stifled, his scoring ability would stifle the triangle offense. Now, Jackson initially dismissed this resistance as just player arrogance, and it was assuming Jordan was being selfish. What Jackson failed to notice was his own blind spot. His insistence on the system wasn't just about what was best for the team, it was tied to his ego. See, his identity as a coach was so wrapped up in being right about the system that he couldn't see how his need to be right was affecting his leadership. Yet, when Jackson stepped back and reflected, he realized the problem wasn't just Jordan. It was his own need for control, his desire to be right. Jackson then made this choice, he made this shift to let go of being right and focus on building trust with Jordan. And with trust established, he was able to show Jordan how the offensive system could elevate not just the team, but also Jordan's individual greatness. Now this shift, it changed everything. So the team chemistry improved, Jordan embraced the system, and as you know, the Bulls go on to win 6 NBA championships. Jackson's story is a powerful reminder. The biggest obstacle to change is often what we fail to notice about ourselves. So much of my story connects to Jackson. So Jackson's transformation, it began with noticing. He didn't just change his coaching strategy, he changed himself. He stepped back, questioned some assumptions he was making about Michael Jordan, and saw the role his ego was playing in the team's struggles. That moment of awareness, it gave him the power to choose a different path. The same principle applies to all of us. It's worth reflecting. Is the way I see things, is it working for me? Is it producing the results that I say I want? Most of us are blind to the patterns that shape our own lives. Our routines, our choices, and the habits feel natural, automatic, like invisible. They so often go unnoticed, even when they steer us away from the results we say we want. So the first step towards meaningful change is actually deceptively simple. Just notice. To notice is to disrupt our autopilot. It's to wake up to the present moment and truly see how our actions, beliefs, and assumptions are creating the results that we are experiencing. Now, with this awareness comes the power of choice. And so just like Jackson, when we notice, we're no longer victims of our own patterns. We gain a broader playing field with more options. We get to be more at choice. Now, noticing doesn't mean judgment or self-criticism, right? If we look back at that situation with Phil Jackson didn't shame himself for his blind spot. Instead, he observed it with curiosity and made adjustments. That's the key. Noticing isn't about blame, it's about learning. So ask yourself, what am I clinging to that might be holding me back? Perhaps it's a belief about the way things should be, or a habit you've never questioned. But from this place of curiosity, you can begin to experiment. You can start to test new actions, and you can start to reframe old beliefs or challenge assumptions that you've held for years. Change doesn't begin with discipline or willpower. It begins with awareness. So start to build that skill of noticing. Look inward with curiosity, because you can't change what you don't notice. And what you don't notice, it's likely running your life. If you want to read more about this leadership skill of noticing, we'll link another article I've written about how to develop that skill. We'll link that in the details of this episode. Thanks for listening in to the Culture Builders podcast.